The farmhouse was silent. Except for the soft crunch of snow outside, 6 bodies lay inside, brutally murdered. There were no signs of forced entry, no clear motive, and the footprints in the snow? They led into the house, but never came back out. What happened inside this isolated home has haunted investigators for over a century. And this is just one of the 5 most bizarre true crime cases you've never heard of. Case 1. The Hinterkaifeck murders. On a cold March morning in 1922, a neighbor walked toward the Gruber family's farmhouse in Hinterkaifeck, a tiny, isolated hamlet in Germany. He hadn't seen the family in days. The animals in the barn were restless, mooing and bleating. Something wasn't right. When he stepped inside, his boots crunched on hay, and then he froze. 4 bodies lay stacked on top of each other in the barn. Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their grown daughter Victoria, and little Cecilia Jr., just 7 years old. Each had deep, gaping wounds to the head, as if struck with a heavy, bladed weapon. Inside the house, the horror continued. In the bedroom, 2 more bodies, 2-year-old Joseph, and the family's maid Maria Baumgartner. The maid had only started her job the day before. Her first night at Hinterkaifeck was also her last. The days before. In the days leading up to the murders, strange things had been happening. Andreas told neighbors he had found footprints in the snow, leading from the nearby woods, directly to the house. But here's the strange part. There were no footprints leaving. The family also heard footsteps in the attic at night. They searched but found nothing. A set of house keys went missing. The newspaper they found on the kitchen table wasn't from their town, and no one knew how it got there. The murder weapon. The weapon used was believed to be a mattock, a heavy farming tool similar to a pickaxe. It wasn't found until almost a year later, hidden in the attic. That discovery only deepened the mystery. Was the killer still inside the house after the murders? Theories. A former lover's revenge. Victoria was rumored to have had an affair with a neighbor. Some believe the neighbor killed them all out of jealousy, but he had an alibi. A family secret? There were whispers that Joseph, the baby, might have been the child of an incestuous relationship between Victoria and her father Andreas. If true, could someone have killed them in rage or disgust? The drifter theory. A stranger hiding in the attic for days, watching, waiting, then striking when the moment was right. The missing footprints and attic noises support this, but no drifter was ever caught. Unsettling details. After the murders, the animals were still being fed, and the fireplace kept burning. Someone stayed in the house for days, living among the corpses, before finally leaving without being seen. To this day, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. Over 100 years later, whoever walked into that farmhouse that snowy night never walked back out. So what do you think? Was it a jealous neighbor, a dark family secret, or a stranger hiding in the attic, waiting for the perfect moment? Case 2. The Isdal woman. On November 29, 1970, in a remote valley near Bergen, Norway, a man and his 2 daughters were hiking when they caught a strange, acrid smell in the cold air. Following the scent, they found a small clearing, and there, lying among the rocks, was the charred body of a woman. She had been burned so badly her face was unrecognizable. Around her were melted water bottles, an empty liquor bottle, a plastic cover smelling of gasoline, and strange pieces of clothing, all with their labels cut out. The mystery deepens. When police began their investigation, the case became stranger by the hour. In her hotel room, they found multiple wigs, disguises, and passports, all under different names. She had checked in at various hotels across Norway and Europe, always changing her identity. But here's the kicker. Every single clothing label and every identifying mark had been removed from her belongings. Even the fingerprints on some of her items had been wiped clean. The autopsy revealed traces of sleeping pills and alcohol in her blood. The burns had happened while she was still alive, but there were no signs of a struggle. Her teeth contained rare dental work, pointing to origins in Eastern Europe, but no dentist came forward to identify her. Theories. Spy games. This was the height of the Cold War. Many believe she was a spy, moving through Europe on covert missions. Her disguises, multiple passports, and cryptic behavior fit the profile perfectly. Secret criminal ties. Some suggest she was part of an international smuggling ring and had been silenced before she could reveal secrets. A personal betrayal. Could she have been living under false identities to escape someone dangerous, only for them to finally track her down? Unanswered questions. The most haunting detail? Police discovered coded messages in her belongings, strings of numbers that matched the dates and places she had traveled. To this day, no one has cracked the full meaning. And perhaps the most chilling part, just days before her death, witnesses recalled seeing her in the hotel lobby, speaking to two men in dark suits. Neither man was ever identified. The end of the trail. The Isdal woman's body was buried in an unmarked grave in Bergen, her identity still a mystery more than 50 years later. So who was she? A spy caught in a deadly game? A fugitive hiding from a dark past? Or someone whose real story is even stranger than we can imagine? Case 3. The Lead Masks of Vintém Hill. On August 20th, 1966, a young boy was flying his kite on Vintém Hill, just outside Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. While searching for a better spot, he stumbled upon a sight so strange it would puzzle investigators for decades. There, lying in the grass, were the bodies of two men. They were dressed in matching formal suits, raincoats, and, most bizarrely, lead masks covering their eyes. The scene. No signs of struggle, no weapons, no obvious injuries. Next to them, a notebook with a single cryptic entry, 1630, be at the specified location. 1830, ingest capsules. After the effect, protect metals, await signal, mask. There were also empty water bottles and 2 wet towels. No one knew what protect metals meant or what capsules they had taken. The men. They were identified as Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel José Viana, 2 electronics technicians from a small town nearby. Friends described them as intelligent, curious, and deeply interested in the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Theories. UFO contact attempt. Many believe the men were trying to make contact with aliens. The lead masks could have been meant to protect their eyes from a bright light during an encounter. Scientific experiment gone wrong. Some say they were testing a dangerous device or radiation source and miscalculated. Cult ritual. Others believe they were involved in a secret group with bizarre initiation rites. Unsolved details. The capsules mentioned in the notebook were never found. The cause of death was never determined. No toxins, no injuries, no struggle. Just 2 men lying peacefully on a hill with lead masks, as if they were waiting for something, or someone, that never came. Still a mystery. This one knows exactly what happened on that hill. Were they victims of their own experiment? Or did they die waiting for a signal from beyond the stars? Case 4. The Circleville Letters. Circleville, Ohio, a quiet town where everyone knew everyone, until one day the letters began to arrive. Anonymous, handwritten letters stuffed with disturbing accusations and shocking secrets. The first letters targeted a school bus driver named Mary Gillespie. They accused her of having an affair with the local school superintendent. The tone was chilling. "We know what you've been doing. Stop, or else everyone will know." The threats escalate. Mary ignored the letters at first, but soon they began targeting her family, friends, and neighbors. Some accused her of murder. Others threatened her daughter. The handwriting was always the same, the words always venomous. A tragic turn. In 1977, Mary's husband, Ron, received a phone call that seemed to connect directly to the letters. He grabbed his gun, jumped in his truck, and drove off. Moments later, his truck was found crashed into a tree. Ron was dead. The sheriff ruled it an accident, but many suspected foul play. The booby trap. Years later, Mary herself was nearly killed when she spotted a strange sign on her bus route. Behind the sign was a homemade booby trap, a gun rigged to fire at whoever removed it. The serial number had been filed off, but investigators traced it back to a man named Paul Freshour, Mary's brother-in-law. The arrest and the letters continue. Paul was arrested and convicted for attempted murder, but here's where it gets bizarre. While Paul sat in prison, the letters kept coming. The same handwriting, the same threats. It seemed impossible. Paul swore he was innocent, and some believed the real letter writer was still free, taunting the entire town. Theories. A personal vendetta. Someone in town had a grudge and wanted to destroy Mary's reputation. A larger conspiracy. Some think the letters exposed real corruption, and Paul was just a convenient scapegoat. An inside job. Was someone close to Mary the true mastermind, using the chaos to settle old scores? Unsolved. The Circleville letters stopped as mysteriously as they began. To this day, the true author has never been identified. And somewhere out there, the person who terrorized an entire town for over a decade may still be watching. Case 5. The Taman Shud Mystery. It was December 1st, 1948, in Adelaide, Australia, when a couple walking along Somerton Beach spotted something unusual in the sand. A man, dressed neatly in a suit and tie, was propped up against the seawall, dead. Strangely, he had no identification, no wallet, and not a single label on his clothing. Every tag had been carefully removed. The investigation. The man's fingerprints and dental records didn't match anyone in Australia or anywhere else in the world. The only clue came weeks later when a small, hidden pocket in his trousers revealed a scrap of paper with 2 words typed on it. Taman Shud. The phrase was Persian, meaning "it is finished" or "the end." A strange connection. Detectives traced the words to a rare copy of a Persian poetry book called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. An abandoned car near the beach contained a copy of the book, and in the back, someone had scribbled a series of strange letters and numbers, believed to be a code. Theories: Cold War spy. The strange code, the removed clothing labels, and the mysterious death all suggest espionage. Lover's secret. Some believe the man was involved in a secret romance and Taman Shud was his way of saying goodbye. Suicide or murder? The cause of death was never proven. Some think he took poison. Others are sure he was killed to keep a secret buried forever. A new twist. Decades later, DNA analysis suggested the man may have been a recently arrived migrant from Eastern Europe, but it still didn't explain who he was or why he died. Still unsolved, after more than 70 years, the Taman Shud mystery remains one of the most haunting cold cases in history. A man with no name, a cryptic message, and a story that ends with more questions than answers. Who was he? And what secret was so dangerous it had to be taken to the grave? 5 cases, 5 mysteries that defy explanation. From the silent hills of Hinterkaifeck to the cryptic sands of Somerton Beach, each one leaves us with the same haunting truth. Sometimes the answers are forever out of reach, but maybe you see something others have missed. Which case do you think has the most chilling explanation? Was the Taman Shud man a spy? Were the Circleville letters written by someone still alive today? Leave your theory in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more real-life mysteries that will keep you up at night, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because the next story might just be stranger than anything you've heard so far.